Welcome to Actually Al. The internet knows me as Al, but my actual name is Alejandra. My family knows me as Ale, and my close friends and coworkers know me as Al. So anyways, if you've been curious, that's where Actually Al came from, and that's me. Let's cut to the chase. How did I lose 60 pounds with PCOS? So before we even talk about weight loss, let's go back, let's rewind and talk about how I got diagnosed with PCOS. So I got diagnosed at the age of 19. I self-diagnosed myself based on symptoms, but eventually went to a doctor. And I was basically a walking billboard for PCOS. I had all of the symptoms: hair loss, facial hair, weight gain, cystic acne, painful, inconsistent periods. I basically had it all. But it wasn't until the weight gain that I knew that something was wrong with my body. I was in college and I basically gained 40 pounds overnight. Everyone thought it was like the freshman 20. Everyone around me thought, well, you must not be eating healthy. And so I started to box every single morning for a year, high intensity workouts and eating like a rabbit. And to my surprise, that didn't work. I didn't lose any weight, even though all my friends around me who were doing the same thing, they were losing weight. And that was extremely frustrating because I thought there has to be something wrong with my body. There's no way that all of my friends and I are doing the same thing. They're losing weight and I'm gaining weight. So the crazy part is it wasn't the facial hair, it wasn't the hair loss, it wasn't the acne that got me to go to the doctor. It was the fact that I couldn't lose weight. Every year, every summer, I was buying bigger clothes, bigger sizes, and I thought that was normal until it just got out of control. Like the scale kept going up and up and up, and nothing I did worked. I finally went to a few doctors, eventually went to an endocrinologist. And the thing with PCOS, as many of you know if you have it, there's not really like a test you take to get diagnosed. You have to basically follow a list of symptoms that you have. If you fall under the majority of those symptoms, then they just kind of diagnose you with PCOS. And sure, they could do blood work and things like that. But honestly, for me, I walked into the endocrinologist's office. He took one look at me, acne, facial hair, the obvious extra weight that I carried on my body. And he's like, yep, you have PCOS. We eventually did do blood work and all those things. And all of it came back as your hormones are so unbalanced and you need to lose weight. So during that appointment, they made me take like this breathing test that would calculate how many calories I'm supposed to eat, which I thought was crazy. The machine printed out this like calorie deficit meal plan thing. The doctor said you have to eat 1,300 calories a day. And here's a ton of other medications that I want you on. That included birth control, spironolactone, metformin, high blood pressure medication, and of course, our least favorite, Contrave, which was a weight loss pill. Now, spoiler alert, none of that actually worked. All of it was a band-aid. Some of it made me physically ill, if you know what I mean. Metformin girlies, you know what I mean. And none of it worked. My symptoms were still there. I kept gaining weight and I was completely miserable. Everyone around me thought that I wasn't putting in the effort. The thing with PCOS is it's not something that we want to talk about, or at least when I was a 19-year-old girl in college, I didn't want to talk about it. I did everything to hide my symptoms, to show the world that nothing was wrong with me. In fact, I remember the day that I told a friend that I was diagnosed with PCOS, the first thing she told me was, oh, so you can't have kids? You know, when you Google PCOS, the first things you see are a bunch of awful symptoms, which aren't all true for most of us. After I was diagnosed, I spent the next few years absolutely researching everything about PCOS. I was determined to find a cure. Even though everyone basically around me told me PCOS, we don't even know what causes it, there's no way to cure it. However, I was going to buy every supplement that told me it would treat PCOS. Anybody on Instagram or TikTok, YouTube that told me, buy this for your PCOS, I bought it. And it was so overwhelming. I think at one point I was on like 10 plus different supplements. I was on so many prescriptions, trying a million different things, not knowing what was working and getting frustrated when I basically was flushing money down the toilet because all of this became so expensive. Not to mention all the workout programs I bought, personal trainers, I hired workout classes and gym memberships, and none of it was working because my PCOS was working against me. So fast forward to 2023, my sister was getting married and my family, they said, hey, with your sister's wedding, it would be great if you could lose 20 pounds. Now, some of you might relate to this. Some of you might have family members who like to chime in on your body and your weight sometimes. And that was kind of my case. I was kind of used to it, except this time a little curveball was thrown at me. My dad had started a GLP medication earlier that year, and he had seen significant weight loss in a short period of time. And so when my sister's wedding was approaching, my dad said, hey, maybe you should consider a GLP for weight loss. The irony is the same GLP that my dad was on was the same medication that I had watched a girl on TikTok use and update every single week for about a year. Every week for a year, she would get on TikTok and say, this is how much weight I lost with a GLP. And I knew this TikTok creator because she had PCOS and I had been following her for a while. But I just couldn't believe what she was posting because I thought there's no way she lost over 100 pounds in a year with this medication that I've never heard of. So I thought, you know what? Why not try it? I know it's not going to work for me. Nothing works for me. I'm meant to be in a bigger body. And you know what? I'm just going to do it just to show everyone around me that it actually doesn't work. The first thing I had to do was go to my doctor. So I went to my doctor and I told him, hey, I've struggled with weight loss. I can't lose weight. I'm on all these different medications and none of it is working. I heard about this new medication called GLP-1 and I'm interested in it. Do you think you could help me out? And he looked at me and said, you should try to lose weight on your own. I was so frustrated. I thought to myself, don't you know that's why I'm here? I've tried it all. I've tried diets and exercise and prescriptions, supplements, like you name it, I tried it. And I felt like he wasn't listening to me and he didn't really have a reason or explanation as to why he didn't want to prescribe the GLP. I walked out of that doctor's appointment super frustrated with no idea what I would do next. I did go home and did research because I thought there has to be a way that I could get on this medication. And that's when I found an online telehealth provider that could provide me with a compounded GLP-1. So I remember the very first day I took my first shot, my sister actually had to help me because I was terrified, even though I kind of was thinking, oh, there's no way this is going to work. The plan was to try it for a few weeks and then to stop paying for it because again, I thought for sure this is not going to work. Maybe it worked for my dad. Maybe it worked for this girl on TikTok, but they are lucky and it's just not going to work for me. So I started my GLP journey and to my surprise, I didn't really have that many symptoms. I had very mild fatigue and I had a little bit of nausea at first, which I assumed would come with trying a new medication. I had heard of all these other crazy symptoms of other people who were on the GLP talk about, but really none of it was true for me. And so I thought, oh, I feel great on this medication. I wonder what it's doing. The first month on my GLP-1, I lost 10 pounds. I couldn't believe it because I really wasn't doing much to supplement my weight loss. And here my body was losing weight and 10 pounds was a lot of weight for me to lose. Historically, if I wanted to lose 5 pounds, that probably would have taken me 2+ months of extreme diets and extreme workouts. So the fact that I had lost 10 pounds in the first month, I thought there's no way I can lose more. Spoiler alert, I lost 40 pounds in the first 4 months and a total of 60 pounds in 8 months. I remember when I lost the first 40 pounds, I couldn't believe it. I had to take a step back and think, how much weight can I lose or do I want to lose? Because 40 pounds was a ton of weight to lose and I just was so excited and so proud of my progress. Oh, and because everyone is always asking me, I'm only 5 feet 3 inches, and at my heaviest and at the beginning of my GLP journey, I weighed 187 pounds. My goal weight on a GLP-1 was 125 pounds. That was a goal weight and number that I've had for my entire life. So I thought, you know what, why not? Why not try for 125 pounds? It took me a total of 8 months, yes, I used a GLP-1 to lose weight, but I put in so much effort. I started to work out. I started to lift weights and build muscle. I finally had the courage to go to workout classes and fell in love with hot Pilates. I completely changed the way I ate. And the reason I was able to do all of that this time around was because I didn't have the constant food noise and the high highs and low lows of cravings. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was the one in control. I felt like I was the one that could decide what I would put in my body and what I would do to continue improving my PCOS symptoms. Even though PCOS is not curable, you can do a lot of things with lifestyle changes, and weight loss definitely helps manage some of those symptoms that we have. I'm not saying a GLP-1 is for everyone, especially if you have PCOS. I know that you probably have tried it all, but it was literally the only thing and finally the last thing that actually worked for me. I have absolutely loved sharing my journey on TikTok with almost 30,000 of you, which I can't even believe I'm saying that number. That's insane. But it has been the most rewarding experience. I have received so many countless messages of many of you who've started this journey and have seen similar results and progress week over week. And it just makes me so excited that there's finally hope for some of us that have struggled our entire lives. If you're from TikTok, thank you for coming to YouTube. If you have no idea who I am and you've never seen me before, I'm actually out. I'll put all of my social media on this screen. I would love to have you here for the long run. And if I miss anything, any questions that you would like to know, leave them in the comments below and I'll respond to them. And that's the story of how I lost 60 pounds with PCOS with the help of GLP-1 medication. I'm so excited to have you guys along on this journey of lifestyle, of fitness, of feeling strong in general. I'm excited for this community that we're building. If there's anything that I missed out or that you want to know, make sure you leave a comment below and stay tuned for next week's video. Cut.